All right, it looks like I am live now. So hopefully we are here. I'm going to let some people filter in and we will start the show as soon as possible. So just some quick comments. There is a chat bar on the right-hand side of the video if you're on the watch screen. And if you are not seeing that, you might be able to go to the Google Hangout and go to the chat screen there. But I will be paying more attention to the chat screen on YouTube. So, hi. I am Benjamin Krudwig from Benjamin Krudwig Fiber Arts and Design, and this is the Fibercast, episode 6. Today is February 27th, 2015. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hi to all of the returning viewers, and also hello to anybody who is new watching the podcast. I film my podcasts live, so what you see is what you get. So welcome to everybody. If you're watching it now, hello, how are you? And if you're watching it later, hello. Also, how are you? So today is kind of a silly day. I know last week I had to leave pretty early to go view some houses. My wife and I are buying our first home, and we've been really looking for about a week now. So it's going pretty well. It's pretty stressful of a task. So I'm just glad that we're on the road to buying a house, and it looks like we have something that might turn out pretty well. So I'll keep all of you updated, of course, as we go through this whole process. So yeah, something I would like to mention before I do a whole ton of the podcast. I am sad to say that Leonard Nimoy from Star Trek fame, Spock, passed away today. So Mr. Spock, our little doll, is going to join me for this podcast today. My wife and I are definitely Trekkies, especially in the Star Trek original series, you know, Captain Kirk and Spock. And we actually have a little shelf devoted just to Star Trek memorabilia. And Spock happens to make up at least half of the memorabilia that we have. So we have a small poster, a postcard, figurine, and some glasses that we don't drink out of. Of course, we're so strange. Okay, Ariana, it's telling me to bring him closer. So let's see. Here he is in all of his glory. I'm not sure I can actually bring him closer without it. Let's see. No, he'll have to be back here. Anyway, so he'll be here. Live long and prosper, Leonard Nimoy, up wherever you are. So this has been only a week since the last time I have podcasted. So I don't have too much to talk about today, because I don't have 2 weeks of stuff that's backlogged, basically. So I am not sure where to start, actually, with this stuff. I guess personal things. Work has been good. It's been a really productive week for me at Shacked. So I feel like I've gotten a lot done. That's always a really good feeling. We've been doing some renovations there, and everything has been everywhere. And this last week, we've really finally gotten everything pretty calm. Everything is in order. Everything's in its place. So that feels really good too. it's nice when things have been kind of crazy for a while, for them to calm down. So yeah, I guess I should mention now as well, if any of you have any questions throughout this podcast, and I might mention this a few times, go to the chat thread on the YouTube page where you see the live event, and ask your question. Ariana is sort of moderating over there, and I will be looking and seeing the questions. So don't worry if I don't get to your question right away, but I will get to your question. So I remember that somebody asked a couple of questions at the end of the podcast last week. So I'll go ahead and answer those ones right now. I need to get to it first. But I want to make sure that they don't go unanswered, just because I know I'm the type of person that would forget and then realize tomorrow or in 2 hours I didn't answer them. So let's take a look here. Oh, there were no questions. Just kidding. They were just comments at the very end of the episode, I guess. Yeah, oh well. So if you have any questions, pop them over into the chat thing. So yeah, work is work. And I have been, I don't know, pretty busy doing all of that. And we've been viewing houses frequently, so I haven't done as much knitting as I would like. However, I'm pretty happy with what I've accomplished this week. Both of the projects that I'm working on are they're not secret projects, but you'll find out in just a little bit. One thing of note, I woke up this morning and was sitting on the couch having coffee when our cat just walked by me carrying a whole skein of yarn. And like, she's pretty small, so a skein of yarn is about 2/3 of her size, so it's kind of funny to see her trotting off with a giant skein of yarn. But a moment of panic set in, and I realized, oh God, she has probably done this a few times. So I looked back behind the couch, and there was the one skein of yarn that she had just dropped. And there was another skein of yarn that was just all over the place. She had undone the whole thing. And I'm sad to say, Timmy, and Sam, my cat loves the yarn that you sent me just as much as I do. So here is the one ball of the Regia sock yarn. Luckily, the other one remains unscathed. I couldn't find it for the longest time today, and it was put away in its cubby. That's the thing, is like all of this yarn that she's been grabbing has been put away, and oh my gosh, it's just so frustrating to see that I put away something and it's gone, and it's not in the place that it's supposed to be, and my cat has probably drug it off somewhere. So I found 2 other skeins of yarn underneath this couch in the studio. Oh my gosh. So I it's pretty mad this morning. Luckily, this is totally fixable. It's not tangled. It's just that, you know, like the Matryoshka nesting dolls, here's the outside, here's the middle, and here's the very center of the ball. So, oh, I guess I'll be fixing that. So I see that, I think it's Lady in Tennessee. It's Lady INTN48. This is her first time coming to the live podcast. So hello, welcome to the live podcast. I am so glad to see that you can join today. Lots of fun. So let's see. I'm going to start with fiber today. So last week I told you that my llama fleece, it showed up in the mail finally. So I'm so excited. This, I started carding it So you can see there's some vegetable matter in these bats, but I am not done carding. So a lot of this will fall out in the carding process. And I will be blending this with some white Hokkaya alpaca. I need to clean that fleece before I blend it, and some white merino. I am hoping to spin enough yarn for a sweater. I believe it's the Brooklyn Tweed Timberline pullover. I'm going to see if I can spin enough yarn for that because it's been kind of in my queue for a really long time. I just am loving this heathery, grayish brown tweed effect. I just love it. So I've been working on carding this. It didn't take me long to wash this fleece at all. There was hardly any dirt at all in it. But it's super, super soft, super fine. So, oh, missed. Okay. I will put that away in a little bit. So, other things that I got in the mail this week was my Spunky Eclectic Fiber of the Month Club. And I'm so excited for this colorway. It's called Gerbera, or Gerbera, so you know the Gerbera Daisy? It's that. It is Shetland sheep wool. And so this month was inspired by another flower, but this time a very warm and happy Gerbera Daisy. Its golden tones just hit me, and I knew it had to be a colorway. I hope it gives you a warm feeling and reminds those of us in the Northern Hemisphere that spring is coming. So she's over in Maine. Spunky Eclectic is over in Maine. And the East Coast has just been getting pounded by snow. So I am so glad that she did a really bright colorway this month. It's mostly yellow. I'm going to just bring it out. So you can see it has a ton of yellow in it and a bunch of this kind of rusty red, scarlet red zones, and a couple of periwinkle gray-ish zones, which I love that sort of color against the yellow. So this should spin up really nicely. I've never spun Shetland, so that's something that I am excited. It's definitely a little bit more, let's see, coarse, but whoa, okay. So I just pulled this off the end. It's a really long staple length, it seems. So that'll be nice. It's extremely crimpy. So I don't know if you can see that pretty well. So I'm pretty excited to try it out. It's a little rough, probably for my skin. She says that it's close to the skin wearable. However, I have extremely sensitive neck skin. So if it is anything, it might be a hat. If I knit a garment or crochet something out of it, it'll be a hat, or I don't know. We'll see. It might have felt really well, but I'd hate to felt Shetland just for the sake of felting something. But I really like the colorway this month, and I got a button that says I Heart Spunky Eclectic, and it's already on my Sidekick bag. So that is way over there, and I'm not going to go grab that. So that's the fiber acquisition this week. I didn't do any spinning. I am planning on doing some spinning this weekend, so you should see some singles next week. Hopefully you should see some singles next week. I'm still working on my article for Spinoff, so there's a lot of stuff that you won't be able to see until this fall. But you should be excited for that because I'm working really hard. It's going to be a long, long article. So that'll be in the next few months. You'll see that coming out pretty soon. So other things I forgot to tell you about last time, because it had been so long, I am working on a pair of mittens for my sister. And these are on my Addy Click turbos, not turbos, my Addy Clicks. I'm using a size 5 or a 3.75 millimeter. And so I saw Kay of the Bakery Bears podcast. She made some thrummed mittens. And I had been working on a pattern of mittens for my sister for a while, and I couldn't figure it out. It wasn't that I couldn't figure it out. The pattern was poorly written. So I decided to scrap those. And now I'm making my own pair of thrum mittens, and I'm not using the pattern that Kay was using. I'm just kind of making it up as I go along. But you can see the inside looks a little bit like a mess, but it's so soft and squishy on the inside. So I'm pretty excited. She's been waiting for these mittens for about 1.5 years now. And I'm using I believe it's Pattons. I've lost the ball band, but it's a Pattons wool. It's in just a charcoal gray colorway. So I like it. I like it pretty well. So I've been working on those. I didn't work on them this week, but I had been working on them for the 2 weeks prior to this week. And that is in the DOP bag that my other sister made me for Christmas. So it's supposed to hold shaving equipment in there. I don't use it for shaving, as you can tell. I'm just gonna shift the computer a little bit. I think the lighting is a little off today. I'm drinking coffee. Caffeine. You can see my new shirt. Death before decaf. Very, very true. Anyways, back on track now. So the other project I am working on, it's a not so secret. So I crocheted the Tectonic Cowl many months ago. About gosh, I think I released that pattern in June of 2014. And I used Anzula Sebastian, which is a sea cell and merino wool blend. I'm not sure. I think they're not making this anymore. Their supplier is no longer available. Sorry, the cat was chewing on my knitting needles, so you just move her a little bit. So this is a fun pattern. It's convertible, so you can wear it as a cowl, you can wear it as a scarf, you can wear it as a cowl 2 different ways. So kind of in a kerchief style cowl, and then just as a normal tube double loop cowl. So I decided finally, I know Kathy Canuel is waiting for this with eager fingers. Okay. Just a little tangled. So I am working on the pattern in knit. I am having such a great time knitting this, and it should be, I may be able to finish it this weekend and then test it out. I'm very confident with this pattern. After the hat I made with the Tectonic pattern, I'm very confident that the cowl is going to be easier, so much easier. There's less fussing around with turning corners and such. So I'm using Anzula Haiku in the colorways Garnet and Slate, and it's 70% superwash merino, 20% bamboo, 10% nylon. These would make great socks. Oops. I am all sorts of tangled today. So these are the 2 colors. And this is my fun red chain project bag that my wife sewed. So this is the garnet, and this gray is the slate. And I'm using the gray as basically the main color, and the garnet is the secondary color, although you pretty much see them equally. I'm using, for this, my brand new Knitter's Pride Carbons circular set. These are size 4, US size 4, 3.5 millimeter. I freaking love these needles. I have been lusting after these for like ever since they came out, but I don't buy needles very frequently. Um, so yeah, I received these in the mail. Um, I am going to do a written review of these needles on benjaminkrudwig.com. So you can find all of this information over there. So they're made by Knitter's Pride, and they've been coming out with a whole bunch of new style needles. So like the marbles, the dreams, the prism, I believe. And they also do the cubics, which are the square needles, which I think those are going to be the next things I look at, which I don't know when I will. I've heard that the cubics take a while to get used to, just because they're a different shape than round. But these are wonderful. They come in. Let's see. Let me put away the project. I'll bring that back out in just a second. So they come in this little case, and you just unzip it. And it's like a little portfolio book. So it goes from size 2.5s or 3 millimeter, which might make some nice chunky socks. I don't know. And they go all the way up to a US size 10. So that's a pretty beefy size, and it's generally the largest I ever go up to. I don't do a lot of bulky knitting. I stick around to the worsted sport lace area. I don't go much higher than worsted. If I do, then I don't know. I'll choose some other needles. It also has a pouch in the back here for your cords, your little stops that you put on the ends of your cables. And it also came with these cool little things. Sorry, it's going to be really loud with the plastic baggie. So it comes with markers for the needles that you can loop on, I believe, to the cable itself, is my guess. And it tells you on one side the size. So this one says US size 9. And on the other side, it's the millimeter size, so the 5.5 millimeter. I think that's really ingenious, because sometimes people forget. And if you're knitting a shawl back and forth, your needles are always covered, but you have that gap on the cable that you can loop that little bit through, and you can see what size needle you're working with. So it's 9 pairs of needles, and I believe it came with 4 cables. I find that the cable, I thought it was going to be pretty stiff, and it's pretty flexible. It lays pretty flat. It is still kind of loopy, but I don't find that I'm fighting the cable at all when I'm working with these. They're very smooth on the shaft of the needle, and the tips are extremely sharp. They're not necessarily lace tips, but you could totally do lace with these and it would be fine. The tips are just sharp enough that I can get my needle into the stitch, but not so sharp that I'm splitting yarn. So the carbon part, I thought was going to be really rough and grippy, but it's actually extremely smooth. It's smoother than bamboo, but not as slick as steel. So I would say this would be really good for relatively slippery yarns. Maybe not super slippery yarns, because it'll slip right past these. But moderately slippery yarns would be fine on these needles. I love them. So what I'll do is I will put a link when I'm done with this podcast, and the show notes and stuff will go up on the blog by tomorrow. What I'll do is I'll also write a review of the Carbons needles, and I'll probably post that no later than Wednesday. I just want to make sure that I really cover all the topics of these needles, what they would be good for, because I've only so far knit on this one thing on these needles, and I would like to do some other styles of knitting. So I'd like to try cables. I'd like to try really intricate lace. I'd like to do a whole bunch of different knitting styles and just give you an idea of what to expect when you go out and buy those needles. So I would highly recommend the Carbons. They're spelled with a K, Karbonz, by Knitter's Pride. So thank you for bearing with me there. I just saw 24 Karat Crochet. How are you? Glad that you were able to catch me today. I've noticed you missing the last couple of times. So it's okay that you're late, and it's okay that you'll leave in a couple of minutes. Thank you for stopping by anyway. And just remember that you can view this after it's up. So it's live right now, but it'll be a recording, and it'll be episode 6 on the YouTube podcast channel. So speaking of that, please subscribe. If you like this podcast, then please hit the subscribe button on YouTube, and hit the thumbs up button on the video. That does good things in the search bars. So shameless plugging. I apologize. Anyways, so back on track. So the Tectonic Cowl should be, the knit Tectonic Cowl should be finished by next week and published probably by the next podcast. We'll see how much work I can get done on it, and when I edit it and make sure that everything works out and the math works out, then you will be able to go to my Ravelry store and pick it up. The buttons that I'm going to be using on there are these great kind of pearlescent buttons. So look, I have a crown. You can call me Aragorn. So these buttons are really fun. I'm going to put these on that cowl. I am also going to make another cowl using black, white, and black, gray, and gray. So I'm pretty excited about that. That'll be fun for myself. This red and gray one is going to go to Anzula because I think that it would be great for them to have in their, their shows, their trunk shows. The next thing I have been working on this week is a mystery knit-along shawl. I am not going to show you the shawl right now. I've shown you parts of it over time, over the last few podcasts. And you can see my main color of yarn. This is hand spun of mine. This is about a fingering weight, maybe a light worsted. This just keeps getting smaller every podcast. So I'm on the final clue. So this is turning out really, really well. I will be starting this mystery knit along in April. So on April 1st, we are going to announce the mystery knit along starting. I have not, well, no, April 1st, it will start. March 1st, on Sunday, I'm going to release the sign up, I guess. So on Ravelry, it's just going to be a pattern, and you'll get an introduction to the pattern. And then I guess on April 1st, you'll get the first clue. I will email the first clue that day. And then the week after that, I will do the second clue. And then the week after that, I'll do the third clue. So it'll be a 3-week-long mystery knit along. It is a shawl. You will need one skein of a main color in I believe it's a fingering weight. I'm going to make sure that I double check all of this information before, double, triple, quadruple check with this information before I actually post it. So yes, you'll need one skein of a main color and then a second skein of just an accent color. You don't have to do that one. Just make sure that when you add up the yardage that you have enough yardage total to go through the whole pattern. I'm super excited about this pattern, and it just keeps blooming in this beautiful way that knitting sometimes blooms. Sometimes you have a problem where it's like, oh no, it doesn't look quite the way I was expecting it to look. But this one, what's happening in here is totally happening in the physical world. So my second color that I'm choosing for mine is this brown hand-spun alpaca of mine. And I'm pretty excited to add this on to the edging of this shawl. So can't wait to finish this and then, you know, get it tested and make sure that it looks great. So from March 1st until, let's see, need to look at a calendar. Sorry for the silence, the radio silence. I don't know what day it is today, so it's hardly, like, I don't know if I can figure it out tomorrow. Okay, so March 1st is when I will let y'all start purchasing the spots for the mystery knit along. It'll be cheaper from March 1st until March 22nd. And then if you get anything between March 22nd and March 31st, it will be a little bit more expensive, just because I need to coordinate things. So yeah, get it between March 1st and March 22nd, or March 21st, to get a better deal on the mystery knit along. I am excited to do this, and I will name it, and we'll have a hashtag. Right now, if you want, you can use the hashtag Benjamin Krudwig and the hashtag Fibercast for anything, and I'll be able to look it up on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, you know, all of the places that are hashtag friendly. So yes, I will give you some clues right now as to what kind of shawl this is. It is semicircular. However, there is an interesting shape to it. So it's not pure semicircle. Let's see. It starts in mostly a stockinette base, and then it opens up. Let's see. Yeah, it opens up into a really beautiful pattern, and then it opens up further into another beautiful pattern. So definitely keep an eye out for this when I am finished with this shawl. I'm so excited to start this. So you'll get more information later on what to do, where to do it. So actually check me out on Instagram. I'm Benjamin Krudwig there if you want to see the Instagram. No, the pattern. Oh my gosh, sorry, my brain just, it left. Check out my Instagram for most announcements for the shop and for patterns, projects, and such. I am very, very active on Instagram. The second place to check us out is on Facebook. So yeah, you'll want to take a look there on Instagram for that, and Facebook for any announcements. You can also see most updates on the website, so benjaminkrudwig.com. However, I don't do like frequent updates. I do blog there, and I do edit the website frequently, but I don't post like any Twitter feeds there. It's just not what websites are meant for. So if you want anything up to date, then check out Facebook and Instagram. So I have future projects in mind right now. Again, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. I see it's very, very active over there. But yeah, ask questions over there and I'll be answering them soon. So recently I was cleaning out my craft closet, which is right behind me. And by cleaning out, I mean sort of cleaning out. I was trying to find a specific yarn. And I found this bag full of my hand spun yarn. So some of this is yarn that I've had around for a while. Some of it is yarn that I haven't had very long at all. Some of it is just singles. Some of it is super bulky from when I first started spinning. So like this is a mohair carbonized bamboo blend. And I wove a scarf with some of this, and it was super itchy because it was mohair, so I couldn't wear it. But I do have some leftover yarn and some leftover singles. And it got me to thinking, oh my gosh, I have yarn to do a scrappy yarn blanket. So I know Kay Jones from the Bakery Bears podcast is doing one. I believe Molly from A Homespun House is doing one. Kristen from Yarngasm is making one. So I think Homespun House, she calls it her Cozy Memories blanket, which I think is a pretty good name, especially if I'm using my own handspun. This is all stuff that I have produced. I have made it from fiber to yarn, and if I can make it into a blanket, that'll be great. I'm gonna have to watch how I wash it. I'm gonna have to hand wash all of this just because the fiber types are gonna be so different. Here's one of my very first handspun. It's a huge bulky yarn. I may even try to do some weird gauge stuff with these blankets. I don't know. All I can do is try, right? So I'm just gonna go through these great fun things and try to use my handspun. Here are some singles that I made after blending a whole bunch of Luette Northern Lights rainbow colorway. And I just blended it a little bit to make it less horrendous. They were pretty bad colors. I have some samples from a blog I did on Shack Spindle Company, blog.shackspindle.com. This is all alpaca. And there are singles, 2-ply, 3-ply, and 4-ply here. So I don't have enough of the 4-ply, but I certainly have enough of the singles, the 2-ply, and the 3-ply to do at least one square. Gonna put that there. This is some, I don't remember spinning this, but I'm sure I did. It's kind of like a brownish white tone. I don't even know what fiber this is. It's probably just a wool of some sort. More of the storm cloud. Here is a sparkle yarn that's kind of a purple and red mix. And I believe it has what Luette calls snowflake. And it's just like it's a faux fiber. So I have a whole bunch of this fiber left to spin, actually. So I might save this to ply. So apparently I spun 2 bobbins worth of this. I'm gonna ply this. Oh my gosh, I'm finding all this yarn that I didn't know I had, or I thought I had. Here's some baby llama, some thick gray baby llama. So this is really, really soft. And here is a skein of my very first handspun. And this is called First Frost. It's a mohair merino blend that I hand dyed. And a couple of people from my Kickstarter actually received a skein of this yarn. So they got a hand-spun skein of yarn from me. Some baby llama and BFL mix. And then a couple of other samples of yarn that I made. I knit Ariana a hat and a scarf out of this yarn. So I'm going to do something with all this yarn in the next couple of weeks, just because I think it's a shame to not use my hand spun. And so I might use the bulky yarn in a project. Maybe I'll make a bulky blanket and I'll make a fingering weight blanket. I don't know. It's crazy that I have some yarn that I didn't ply. I almost always ply right away. Like, I can't not ply. It's so strange. So yeah, that's in the coming months, weeks. I don't know. I mean, it's going to be a long-term project, which I don't actually have very many of. So that's one of my upcoming projects. And then I'm hoping to just do some fun knitting and some knitting for my book. That's going to be probably become high priority soon. So other things. So I want to talk a little bit about the podcasts I have been watching. So obviously, I don't think I've watched any new podcasts this week. I believe I might look into some new podcasts tonight. But I've been watching Yarngasm, A Homespun House. I've been watching Bakery Bears. I don't think they've had a new episode since the last time I podcasted. Their last podcast was great. Oh my gosh. So I would definitely recommend watching them. Nick's Knits podcast. Congratulations on your club being accepted at school. So you have fun with that. And it's exciting to watch you to grow and take charge of that sort of thing. So good luck. If you have any questions, I'm all ears. So please ask. Feel free to contact me if you need help. But I think you've got it. So I won't expect to hear from you. Who else have I been watching this week? Sort of a Knitter, Josh. He put out a podcast this week, and I haven't watched his newest one, but I watched his last one this week. Second to last one this week. So that's all I've been watching, really. And it looks like you guys are chatting up a storm. Oh my gosh. So I'm going to try to scroll up a little bit because there are some questions that look like they were answered or were asked. Okay, so a virtual knit night, a VKN. It took me a while to realize what a VKN was. Sort of a Knitter did one a couple of weeks ago, and I missed it because I didn't realize it was happening. I didn't know what it was. So I might do a virtual knit night. Ariana and I will definitely think about what kind of night would be good for us to do that. Maybe a weekend night, so maybe a Friday or a Saturday night, since we work through the week and we have to go to bed. I'd love to do one of those, so I will definitely put that in our idea pile. And it's an interesting conversation going on about preparation. So I actually might talk about this here. So Safe Pet Haven is saying, I've done sewing for 55 years, so always prepare my fabric before ever cutting out a pattern. I saw a YouTube video recently of a lady washing her yarn, and when rinsed, she spun it around like a rodeo lariat to spin dry it. Okay. So I believe in preparation before doing anything. So if you're sewing, like you want to make sure that it's iron, you want to make sure that it's completely going to interact the way that you want it to interact in the final piece. So you want to prepare it so it's going to lay flat or do whatever you want it to do later. With yarn, this is extremely important. However, if you get commercially spun yarn, all of these processes have been done to it already. So I wouldn't really worry about it with commercially spun yarn. However, hand spun yarn, fiber interacts in a very different way than hand spun fiber interacts in a pretty different way compared to commercially spun yarn. So you start out with fluff here. And as you're spinning, actually, you're putting twist. So this is my drop spindle from Shacked Spindle Company. I actually got this drop spindle before I even started working for them. So as you spin, you're putting twist into the yarn. So you can see I just did a little bit here. Woo! And when you release, this is a singles, it kinks up. That's because you have put a ton of energy into this yarn. To balance it, so I've just folded it in half, you ply it on itself, and that energy releases and it's balanced. It doesn't want to kink up anymore. It just lays in a U, a little valley shape. If you don't wash this fiber after you spin it, it's not necessarily the end of the world. However, you may knit with an unwashed fiber and you'll get perfect straight stitches, right? Well, when you wash fiber, it wants to release that energy back into being straight. It wants to be this form again. So it's going to try to untwist, and that may cause some problems in whatever your finished knitted or woven or crocheted item is. So you could get slants, you can get it to pill, that your gauge might change completely after you wash or block your garment if you don't wash your yarn beforehand. The spinning it around like this, it does help spin dry it, but the other thing is what that does is if you snap your yarn when it's wet, it's you can also call it thwacking. Some people thwack it against the side of their sink or against their counter, or I do it against the bathtub. So thwacking sets the fiber memory after you've washed it. I'm not sure if it does anything, to be honest. I find I spin a pretty balanced yarn anyway. I don't want to sound, sorry, that sounded really snooty, but I do try to spin balanced. I test more than once as I'm spinning. So I'll test at the beginning of my bobbin, a quarter way through the bobbin, halfway through the bobbin, 3/4 through the bobbin, just to make sure that I'm spinning consistently. And when I ply it, I can do a balance. So if I'm going to do a 3-ply, I'll bounce that single back on itself 3 times, just so I can make sure that it's going to work out in the end. So that's why you want to wash or rinse your yarn and then spin it. My hand spun and when I wash my fiber, I actually use a salad spinner. I bought one from the Goodwill, which is a thrift store here in Colorado. I bought one and it is so great to use. It cuts down my drying time significantly. So I would definitely recommend that. So I know that sounds like that might seem like a lot of extra trouble. So if you're not spinning your own yarn, don't wash your yarn unless it stinks. Like if it has, so some people buy their yarn at the Goodwill, and you know, people donate yarn all the time. And sometimes you'll smell like it smells musty, or it smells like cigarette smoke or something. Definitely wash that yarn. And what I would do is I would wind it into a skein using an umbrella swift, or using the back of a chair, or using somebody's arms to hold it into a skein shape. Wash it that way, and then I actually would rinse and spin it before using it. So yeah, I would recommend doing any of that if you use hand spun or secondhand yarn. If you buy yarn that is commercially spun from any company, all these processes have already been done to it. So don't waste your time. Just start knitting. And Ariana has already answered this question just now. She's making bags, and she does knit and crochet. She knows how to weave, so I don't know if she mentioned that. But she knows how to weave on the Zoom loom. I don't have mine out, but it's the little square pin loom from Shack Spindle Company. And she knows how to use it. She does know how to use it. Okay, let's see. So the other thing was, watching everything looked so much better knitted than crocheted. Oh, I kind of agree. So things do. I like the structure of knit, but I like how fast crochet is. So it's kind of tough to choose between the two sometimes. So you definitely want to wash and rinse something that has been hand dyed, because if the dye has not been set properly, or if it's like a red or a blue, those tend to bleed sometimes. So you want to make sure that you rinse until it runs clear. So oh, and I have shown my shirt to people, but I will show it again. It's my Death Before Decaf shirt, because I am a coffee fanatic and I cannot live without coffee. So Death Before Decaf. So she spins, yeah, energized singles. That is exactly what that is called. If you want to, there are some really cool techniques in knitting and weaving using energized singles that can be really great. You do want to wash your singles if you're going to do energized singles, because it will help balance the yarn. Sometimes what you want to do is put a weight at the bottom of your skein when you let it dry, because what it'll do is it will stretch out those singles and keep them perfectly straight. So what you can do after that is knit something with it, and then when you wash it again, those singles will want to scrunch back up again because they're so super energized, and it'll create a really stretchy, crinkly fabric. You can do the same thing in weaving, and you can use them for both the warp and the weft. If your singles are strong enough to use in the warp, you would probably want to use a rigid heddle loom if you're going to do that, just because floor looms tend to have a lot more tension on them in their braking system and their tensioning system. So you'd probably end up with more broken threads than you would like to fix. So yeah, you could use the energized singles in the warp and in the weft, and you'll get a really crinkly fabric. You could use it in just the weft, and you'll get it crinkling this way, and you could use it in just the warp, and you get crinkling this way. You could do a lot with energized singles. So I might talk more about spinning in another podcast, if that's something that interests you all, or weaving. I haven't done very much weaving recently. I plan on doing more as soon as I can, but I've been very focused on knitting. So yeah, oh, and you can actually see, fun. I didn't mean for this to happen. So these singles have been sitting in this ball probably for over a year, and they're still really energized, but they are less energized than they were before. So you see, when I try to do a 2-ply, this is not going to be an effective 2-ply. That would pull apart right away. So I might actually have to skein these up, rewash them, just to get them a little more excited. Or I might just ply with them and see what happens. I don't know. We'll see. Are there any other questions for this podcast, or things that you'd like to see? Because I have some time, so I would love to know what you want to see and what you want to know. I'm happy to teach you. That's funny. May your seam ripper gather dust. That is a truth. Oh, I feel like I had something to talk about. The giveaway. So the giveaway is, this is the last week to enter. So I'm going to do the drawing Thursday night before the next podcast. So please go to the Ravelry group, join the group, go to the forum, the FO February. I am ready to tell February to FO. So go over there, and anything that you have finished in February, it doesn't mean that you had to start it in February, just finished in February, you can use that as an entrance to the giveaway for some of my hand-dyed fiber. It's 4 ounces of superfine merino in the colorway New England Tide, and you can check that out over on my Etsy store. The colorway, it's a blue, very dark blues, some light blues, a gray, and some green. So it's very oceanic in tones. Check that out. And if you want to participate in the giveaway, please do. There will be more giveaways on this podcast and in my group as time goes on. So I believe there's like 11 or so entries. You can enter more than once. Just make sure that it's one post per project. That way you, because I'm going to do a random number generator to choose the winner. So yeah, take a look over there if you want to do this. There will not be, between now and Thursday is your last week to enter things. So please, 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 please do that. And then I will mail it out probably the Monday after the podcast. And yeah, so please check that out. If there aren't any questions, I'm going to check my Instagram just to see if people made any comments or questions there. Then I'm going to head out soon. So let's go to the Instagram. Okay, no questions. So I hope you all have had a great time. If you want to find me on the social media, please go to the bottom. The description of this video has all of my links. Or you can just Google Benjamin Krudwig and you will find me. The website is benjaminkrudwig.com. I am on Facebook. I am on Etsy. I am on Instagram. I am on Tumblr. I am on Twitter. I am on Google+. I am on Ravelry. So hit me up. I will. I love seeing people. So, and also subscribe to the channel. That way you will get notified whenever I post a video for you. And I will be doing more how-to videos. So Ariana and I kind of went back and forth a little bit on this idea. I've been doing how-to videos since 2010. And I am going to redo some of my early videos just to make them a little bit more modern and a little bit less I've been called out a couple of times by people that I speak too quickly in my first videos and that I say too often, which I do. but I used to shoot those kind of live. Like I shot them all in one take and would edit them together. So I will be redoing some of those. I'm just going to start from the beginning with the how to crochet the basic stitches. I will not delete the other videos. So there will be 2 of the same video. One's just going to be newer than the other. So that'll be happening. Also, if you want to take a look, my Curious course, the sweater course, is doing really well. Lots of people are joining. So if you want to join, you can go over to curious.com. You can sign up for Curious Plus. You don't have to. Over 115 students are taking this course on how to crochet a raglan style sweater from the top down. So you can purchase the course on its own, or you can do the Curious Plus, and you have access to all of the courses on Curious. If you want to, you don't have to, but that's something that you will not see on this YouTube channel because it is exclusive to Curious. So that's also going on. But other than that, please, I have had a great time, and I am just watching the conversation over here, and I think I might use some of those yarn leftovers. I don't know if I want her to think of yarn as a toy, but maybe I will, maybe I'll make some felted knit balls or something to have her bat around, and I'll put some, I don't know, catnip and something. So yeah, I will see you all later. I will see you next Friday on the podcast. If you want to join, it'll be the Fibercast. So if you want to follow anything on hashtags, hashtag Fibercast. So Fibercast or hashtag Benjamin Krudwig, all one word. And I will see you on all of the social medias. So thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.